downtown at our urban campus location as well. And my role here with the district is to help support and manage all of our online courses and all of our online course offerings for our students. And we also help manage the instructional technology that comes with that. So everyone's maybe a little bit familiar now with words such as LMS, learning management system. And so I help oversee and make sure that everything is up and running and going well for all of our online classes. And so I'm excited to be here to talk to you today about what it means to be an online learner in online classes.
Terrific. Thank you, Michelle. So Lori and Thomas and anyone else that is joining us this morning, like I said, welcome. We're glad to have you with us. Whether you're thinking about getting started or have specific questions, you are absolutely welcome to put those in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that. And certainly as Michelle is answering questions, we're literally just going to go through a little bit of a Q&A session. So like I said, please feel free. It's very informal. Chime in as you wish. If you have questions, if you're not sure about something, if we're talking about something you don't understand or don't know. Sometimes we have our own jargon and language when we start talking about different things in the college life. So please feel free to join in and chat. And then I also wanted to mention that I will put both Michelle and my contact in the chat. So if there's a question you think about or you're ready to get off, that you can reach out to either of us. I often tell people if this is new, there's no silly or dumb questions. So like I said, we are going to focus a little bit online, talking to you a little bit about specifics, but like I said, please feel free to ask away. As we get started, I do want to mention that the college has many, many different offerings. And so while you may be thinking about an online class, that doesn't mean that you can't also take an in-person class. You can combine those when you meet with and talk to an advisor. That's when they would help you to take a look at and build a schedule that works for you. You know, we also have something called Live Online. Michelle can speak a little bit to that, but it's kind of the best of both worlds. So just to let you know, if you're just getting started, like I said, you can mix those. And we also have some really fantastic completely online programs. We have a graphic arts program that just went completely online. We have a couple of healthcare programs, health information technology and cancer information management. Those programs are 100% online. So if that flexible idea of school and classes works for you, there's a lot of really great options. And that's just a couple off the top of my head that we offer. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So Michelle, what skills would someone need to be a successful online learner if it's something they're thinking about doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think I'll just tackle probably the biggest, I think maybe possible concern or obstacle that people might have with online learning. And that is, what technical skills do I need to be successful in the online environment? So, you know, just to be straightforward and honest, it does require a level of technical skills. But I like to say that if you are comfortable using like your smartphone for internet browsing or social media, or have basic computer skills, then you will be okay. We are not super elevated in terms of what we request our students to know from a technical perspective. So if you can browse the internet and use basic Microsoft applications like Word or PowerPoint, you're going to be in really good shape. And the nice thing that I do want to say too is that when you are a student here at EICC, we do give you free access to those Outlook, or excuse me, to those Microsoft programs that you would need, such as email, PowerPoint, Excel. So you already are provided some of the programs that you might need to be successful online. But again, you know, Word processing, typing up papers in Word, being able to create PowerPoints, and being able to use a web browser are, you know, the foundational elements of the technical skill and component of being an online learner. I think the next most important thing is just your communication skills. I think with being online, even though we're maybe not verbalizing in a classroom setting, you have to transition that to a written setting in most cases. So making sure that you're comfortable reading and deciphering instructions that are written in your classroom, being able to articulate thoughts thoughts in the written format to your classmates and to your instructors. Now, that's not to say that if writing's not your strength, that doesn't mean that you can't do it, but it is something that does require more focus in an online environment, because so much of it is done through the written component of it. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't ever be able to have a verbal conversation with your instructor or your classmates. You can certainly always engage in that type of communication as well. But a lot of the initial communication and learning does happen through that written communication inside the classroom. So again, technical and communication, not as long as you're good with those basic and foundations, I'm sure that you will find that you are set up well to be successful in our online classes.
Sure. And I just thought of something, Michelle, when you said that as well. Another online course, program that we now offer is logistics. And I know that Susan Lammers, our facilitator for that program, does that very thing with her new students, because it is completely online, a way to get to know each other. She holds a Zoom session. So again, even though you're going to be communicating, via technology and online per se, it doesn't mean that you can't reach out to your facilitator, your instructor, certainly your advisor, requests like this, a Zoom, meeting or a phone call, and just to stay in communication. I think that's great and super important for you to be successful, whether it's in person or online. Michelle, you kind of answered this one, so I'm kind of going to skip over it because I kind of talked about how does someone know if it's the right fit for me, but can you talk a little bit about strategies or tips? I want to be successful, but I don't really know how to go about that. It's all brand new to me. Can you share a little bit, like some good, helpful hints that would help us be successful as online learners?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I want to share that I think just helps students really understand with online classes is to set realistic expectations for yourself when you're taking an online class. So taking an online class, they are super convenient and they are super accessible, but it doesn't mean that it's any less work or effort on behalf of the student, right? So really making sure that you are setting those expectations for yourself, that you are going to set aside time to be in your classroom. The nice thing about our programs is that they're completely asynchronous. So you get to choose that time that you dedicate to being inside your classroom. Maybe you work second shift and you like to come home after your second shift and get your homework done, and you can be doing that at 1 a.m. in the morning. Or if you can't sleep, and you can do it at 9 p.m. or once your kids go to school, you can hop on at noon, whatever works best for you. But it's really important that you set that expectation for yourself that you have to be managing that time to be spending that time inside your classroom and working through the work that is required for that class. I think the other most important thing is to be able to communicate with your, oops, sorry, I'm sitting in a classroom and my lights just went off. So I'm going to wave here real quick.
You got strobe lights.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So it's being able to communicate with your instructor and your classmates. So as we mentioned, although online learning is convenient, some people might get the impression that it can be isolating. And I just really want to make sure that everyone who's considering an online class knows that you have a faculty member and you have classmates who are wanting and willing to interact with you just as much as you are with them. So being able to communicate and set that or create a relationship with your faculty member at the beginning of class and with your classmates is really important. And I think that that really helps you feel connected to the classroom and to the material that's being covered, and really helps to make sure that you feel involved in that classroom. I know one of the benefits of meeting in person is that you get to interact physically with people. With online, you can certainly have a lot of interaction as well. And so it's just really setting up and being intentional about building that relationship with your instructor and your classmates. And then I think kind of when you look at setting realistic expectations for yourself and being able to know how to build those relationships with your instructor and your classmates, is then to know what is expected of you. So read that syllabus from your instructor. It's got all the key information and requirements in it. Ask questions to your instructor if you don't understand something from the syllabus. And just really make sure that you feel comfortable and know what is expected of you. So that I don't want to jump ahead to one of Amy's questions, but a lot of questions that we do have about online classes is the structure, right? So inside that syllabus, you'll have the expectations of timelines, assignment requirements, and information that will help you to ensure that you are successful. So just really making sure that, if you do have questions, that you're asking your faculty member for that feedback, because again, with the online classroom, it's even more important that you are proactive about making sure that you are meeting those expectations that they have set forth.
Absolutely. Some really good, valid points. Michelle, do you think that there's like, I don't know if I want to say a formula or a time frame as far as like how you plan your time, or the amount of hours you spent studying for a class you take online? I know it's very hard, very easy rather, to fall behind quickly if you don't stay up. You talked about due dates and syllabus and that type of thing. But like, if I'm taking 4 classes, I'm going to log on and I'm going to do that work. But then don't you think it's important to talk about like the time spent outside of the specific, like that can equate to quite a bit of time. Am I right?
Yes. So a big component of online classes is self-directed reading and self-directed, reviewing information, watching videos, listening to instructor lectures that they've posted. So what I would suggest is, again, setting aside specific time each week consistently, and then always making sure that you're looking ahead. Some weeks will be lighter than other weeks. Some weeks will have written assignment papers that will be due. The next week, it might just be a discussion board, but I would expect that every week you would have some level of reading that would be required, and then some form of interaction with your classmates, whether it's through a discussion board and then some form of an assessment where you're either writing and submitting a paper or you're taking a quiz and exam. So I would say though that in most of our classes do kind of follow that traditional time frame in terms of, an exam. They might say, oh, if it's open book, you can have a lot of time to take it, or they might give you 90 minutes to take an exam or an hour. So it is going to vary, but it is so important that you look ahead and your strengths and weaknesses as a learner and say, okay, this is a heavy reading week, but I don't have to study for a quiz. And then the following week is, maybe there's fewer readings, but I have to prepare for a quiz that I'm going to be expected to take. So I think in many ways it's very similar to what you'd have for a campus-based course. It's just about really managing that time and looking ahead and knowing what you need to commit to. And we suggested people to take it week by week. Don't get too far ahead of yourself, because that can be a little overwhelming. So just really look at it from the week by week perspective and know what is expected of you within that time frame.
Absolutely. And Michelle, you touched on this a little bit as far as like dates. Pay attention, obviously, that syllabus, highlight those due dates. I got a quiz, I got a paper, I got a reading, I got a, reply to this, whatever it would be. Make sure that you keep those in mind. But let's say I'm an online student and I'm having some trouble submitting my homework. Can you help me out with that? Because I know that can be really stressful, especially for brand new online learners.
Yes, absolutely. As much as we want and expect technology to cooperate, sometimes that just doesn't happen. And so a couple pieces of advice is to, number one, always be proactive and kind of have a backup plan. We know, unfortunately, computers fail, internet connections go down. So always have kind of a plan B in place. 99% of the time, you're not going to have to use it, but there will be a point at some point during the class or through your degree program that you will have to probably use some part of that plan B. So maybe it's ensuring that you've got a friend who's willing to maybe loan you their laptop if yours goes down, using a parent's house or a local, restaurant or cafe for an internet connection. Of course, you can always come to any of our campuses and use our equipment and materials here. But when it comes to being within your classroom and you maybe are just having that technical issue, the first thing that I'd recommend is just to communicate that with your instructor, letting them know that you have attempted to submit and you're running into some sort of issue. I would say again, there 9 times out of 10, they'll be able to help walk you through that. Depending on what the exact situation is, they may not be able to. So we have awesome resources here. We have a help desk that is available to you. And then also with our Canvas LMS, we do have, Canvas is known for its support to students. So you can always give Canvas a call and let them know what the problem is or the situation. You can chat with them as well. So you kind of have a couple different levels of support, but number one, always communicate and let your instructor know what's happening. And then using those helplines that are available to you.
Absolutely. Lori and Thomas, do you guys have any questions at this point in time? I just want to take a little pause. You are welcome, like I said, to put it in the chat, but you are absolutely welcome to unmute yourselves and ask questions at this point in time as well. Okay, if not, I'm going to go ahead and keep going. So I've heard from a lot of students, Michelle, that sometimes they'll tell me that they're maybe not good time managers. Maybe they're procrastinate. Does that mean that they should not take online courses, or can you give some ideas or thoughts or suggestions as far as would online, learning be a good fit for them, or what do you think? What can you share about?
Yep, that's a great question. So, I mean, I hate to admit this, but when I think back about my college, I remember many a nights pushing the deadline, and Amy's raising her hand. Some of us do our best work when we procrastinate. So that is part of the flexibility, is that you can really manage your schedule to what works best for you. Now, in terms of you are not a super great time manager, what I would suggest is just making sure that you're setting in checkpoints for yourself throughout those weeks, and that you look about what might get in your way when it comes to managing your time. Let's see here. I'm trying to think, maybe your favorite show just got released, a new season on Netflix, right? So we're all kind of guilty of those things, but just that's where that schedule comes into place. Talking with your family about saying, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, mom or dad's going to be using the computer from 8 to 10 and there's no interruptions. And so really carving out that time. The most important thing is to just really not get too far behind. I think that you'll find that if you look at it week by week or just assignment by assignment, that it will be manageable for you. I will share that if you get too far behind, that's when it gets a little bit more difficult to dig yourself out. Most, if not all, of our classes have very firm deadlines. Some instructors will accept late works, others will not. So that's why it's important to look back at that syllabus. But I think really what it boils down to is just making sure you've set that expectation for yourself before getting to this online class, that that it's going to, it's not any less work and it's not any less time, but it gives you that flexibility to manage it differently to what suits you best in your, where you're at in your life right now.
Absolutely. And, I shared earlier, and I'm sure Michelle would agree, that, whether you're online or in person, cannot express enough for you guys to be successful students. You really do have to communicate really, really openly with your instructor to make them aware. Most of our instructors are going to be very understanding and understand that we all have lives, things happen, but it gets challenging and difficult if work isn't being turned in, or they're, not getting things done from you and have no idea what's going on. So again, not to share too much personal information, but enough to let them know, hey, I've had some challenges. I've got some barriers going on right now. Here's why this is late. I'm working on this. Stay in contact and touch with them. And that will really be beneficial beneficial for you being successful moving forward. The other thing, and I apologize, Michelle, I don't think I mentioned it. Can you speak, or are there tutors available for our online learners?
Yeah, so the great thing that with being a student here at EICC, and specifically for online learners as well, is that we do have tutoring available through Smart Thinking. But I also want to reiterate that, so that's a digital tutoring platform that you can use for a variety of subjects. But I also want to reiterate that the resources that we have available to our campus-based students are just as much available to you for those of you who would choose to use online programs, so, or to do online classes. But yes, there are tons of fantastic resources. All of our libraries are available online. The tutoring is available. We have additional, skill builder type of things that are available to you as well. So awesome things for you as a student that you can use and leverage, including what Amy had mentioned, the tutoring.
Fantastic. I thought that was the case. I just wanted to double check. So the other thing I would share with you, again, what your comfort level is as you get to know your peers in the classroom, if you're comfortable sharing or exchanging emails, great way to do some study groups. Reach out, as Michelle said, sometimes obviously, unfortunately, that we've all dealt with COVID, that isolation. So what a great way to maybe, connect with a couple of your classmates if you're working on a project or, answering, studying for a quiz, whatever it might be. What a nice resource to have additional people in the classroom that you can kind of talk or work through things for a project on. So keep that in mind as well. Again, what you're comfortable with as far as sharing, personal email, or you could just do your live accounts, do your EICC, so it's strictly school. But that is pretty much a quick overview. Thomas and Lori, as far as online courses with us, like I said, if you have any questions or confused about something, want to know additional information, I did put both Michelle and my name, our contact email in the chat. I always tell students I am happy to reach out and help any way that I can. I don't doubt Michelle is the same way. If I don't know an answer, I will get you to the right people that we can help you navigate and get through. Just a quick reminder that if you are looking at starting fall classes, we are coming up to the fall semester very quickly. Fall classes start Monday, August 23rd. So if you have not scheduled an appointment with an advisor, I would encourage you to do it as soon as possible. If you've not done that fast, but get that financial aid going. And like I said, reach out any way we can. So with that, I'm going to stop talking for a minute. Lori and Thomas, if you guys have any questions, like I said, you are certainly welcome.
Oh, wonderful.
Nice. Well, thanks for joining us, Lori. Great to have you. That's awesome. Thanks for being with us. So Thomas, do you have any questions for us at this point in time? Like I said, we'd be happy to share. Otherwise, you are welcome to unmute and talk as well. Or you can put in the chat whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, well, thanks for joining us, Thomas. We appreciate your time this morning, and good luck. We hope you would join us and have a great semester. So thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you.